So hopefully I don't break too many off in this process. There. I can't tell if these roots are healthy or not. I feel like I've really been enjoying chopping things back to like nothing lately. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I seriously need to do some repotting. I have a lot of plants that need a good bit of TLC at the minute, and gosh, I have like a whole list of them, and these are just like the start of it. So I figured I may as well bring you with me as I do some of them and get them, like get some props potted up, and give some things like this begonia, oh, excuse me, not that, a bigger pot, because look at those roots, and just in general doing a bit of plant maintenance. Like this guy's very leggy, it's kind of balding on top. This is my Monstera Adansonii, and just trying to make them look like a bit nicer of plants, because yeah, I've kind of not really done much repotting over the winter months. I know some people say you shouldn't repot, like not in the growing season, and I don't think I necessarily believe that. If your plants are still doing fine, if your plants are still growing, then it doesn't matter when the growing season is, because all the time is the growing season. And sometimes maybe your plants need a repot because they're not growing. So it's just one of those things where I think if it's time, it's time, and for these ones, it's time. So I'm gonna be repotting them today. Before I get into this, I just want to say, if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma, and I make houseplanting content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate you as well. Right, so let's get into this. I don't even know where to start. Oh gosh, I think I want to start with my Claythia because it was like the first one that came to my mind when I was like, oh, I should repot stuff. So let me move a lot of this stuff out of the way, because this might be a bit of a big job. So this one here is quite a large Claythia plant. You can see there, it's Claythia ornata, and it's doing pretty well, except for I think I underwatered it a while back, and I just haven't trimmed off these sort of dead leaves. I really want to repot it because it's in just like the mix that it came in, which seems fine, but I don't know, my brain is telling me that I need to switch it out to something a little bit more like my style, just to give it a little bit better chance, because I feel like the plants that I have in like my own soil, I say my own soil, it's almost always Soil Ninja, not sponsored, but I will be using only Soil Ninja stuff in this video. I am an affiliate with them, so if you want to get 10% off their substrates and stuff, there's a link down below. Obviously no pressure, but just thought I would let you know. Get a discount, and I get a little bit as well back, which is no extra cost to you, so it's like a win-win-win situation. Completely side note, but yeah, I feel like my plants do better when they're in a better soil, and Soil Ninja soil is absolutely amazing stuff. So let's just pull her out. Oh my goodness, also, do you see that at the bottom? There's like loads of compacted roots down here. Oh gosh, this is gonna be a pain to get out. Oh. So like the roots have gone out one hole and then back in another hole, which is super freaking annoying, because then it's like impossible to figure out which side you need to pull on to get them out. And I inevitably end up breaking some. So hopefully I don't break too many off in this process. I was also going to answer questions while I do this. Oh goodness, okay, good. That was pretty easy. So that's what we're looking like on the bottom. which there does look like to be some roots around there, but at the same time, it's not like root bound. And I knew it wasn't needing like an up pot. I just wanted to give it some new soil because this feels like almost entirely cocoa coir. And I mean, it just stays a bit damp for my liking. And I tend to water, at least my Claythias, I try and water them more frequently than a lot of my other plants. And if the soil is staying super damp like this, then like I can't do the mental math about when to be watering this one. And I know I should just check the soil regularly, but I can't be asked to do that. So I'm just gonna switch it out with something fresh and new. And I kind of like going into the Claythia soil because then you get to see all of these like new bits that are popping up. So like all of those, you can see that there's going to be new leaves coming in soon, which is great. And I guess it kind of is early growing season. I mean, obviously daylight savings hasn't happened yet, so we're not like officially in spring. It's still like early March, but I feel like we're just before growing season, so I may as well get it into something like that I know it'll really, really love and have like really good nutrients and stuff before growing season starts, and hopefully it'll be a bit of a happier camper. So I'm just looking because I was checking if it had any pests. It doesn't look like it does. I'm sure it probably has fungus gnats in this soil though, because it's, I mean, I did just water it the other day, so that's why it is so damp. This is like wetter than I would normally leave it, but I wanted to water it so the soil would come off a bit easier. Make it slightly easier for repotting. Oh, I was also going to answer questions while I did this. Let me switch hands. Look at my phone. I asked y'all over on Instagram to ask me for some questions. So here they are. So the first one is, what is your favorite plant right now? And that was a really tough one because I feel like my favorite plant of all time is my Cebu Blue, or like Cebu Blue in general. But I wouldn't say it's my favorite right now, just because I have a lot of other plants that are doing really, really well at the minute. I think probably the Glorious is one of them. My Philodendron Glorious. It is just an absolutely amazing plant. It's one of the plants I've spent the most on ever, and I would say it's totally worth it. I got quite a big one, and I love it. I'm just looking at the top cutting here now in the cabinet, and I need to put that back in to the main plant because I think that's rooted, so that'll be soon as well. That's a big one for me. My fern leaf is another one that I'm super duper excited about at the minute. Like, ever since I saw that plant, I was like, I need it. And I actually got a leaf prop in a swap with someone, which was amazing. And yeah, I'm like so glad I have that one. That's another like really big favorite of mine right now. I feel like those are the main ones. My Regal is giving me favorite vibes at the minute because I like it popping out a new leaf, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be huge. But yeah, I think those are like the main ones. Somebody also asked what my favorite leaf right now is. And that's a tough one. It's probably one of my variegated somethings. Okay, so my like long-term favorite leaf, even though it's not like my favorite plant, is my big large form Monstera albo cutting that I've had for ages. I'll insert a picture. And I got it at the plant swap as a mid-cutting, a rooted mid-cutting, and it did nothing for ages. And it's finally popped out a new leaf from a growth point that I feel like I pretty much activated with cakey paste. I'm not sure if it would have popped out had it not. Maybe I can make a video about that later if that's something that y'all would want. Let me know. But that leaf is like stunning. And so I always said, like, when it wasn't growing, that I wouldn't be mad if it's just a beautiful leaf that I get to have in my collection for a really long time, because it's still living, like it's not dying, which is great. I think that's as much as I can get off of that soil wise. You can see how much soil is here, and it's super dark and dense. And I might go in while it's out with my scissors and dangerous, Emma, and cut off these like dry leaves because they don't need to be in there, and like caterpillars and stuff, because I feel like the caterpillars just kind of go a bit rotty after a while. Hopefully over the summer this plant will like kind of regrow a lot in the bottom, because I feel like it's all the bottom leaves that I'm losing. Sorry, I'm like having to concentrate on this to make sure I don't cut bits of the plant that are alive. I'm being a little bit brutal with it as well, because like this leaf is alive, but I don't need it in there. And it would probably look better without it. I think this one too. Okay, it doesn't look as bad down here in the middle now. Like, there's definitely some crispy bits on edges of leaves, which I'll probably trim off once it's done, once this has been repotted. But for now, I think it looks a lot better like that. Just shove this to the side. I need to like clear my potting mat after this and wash my hands. Ugh. I hate like wet soil sticking to your fingers. It's such a terrible feeling. But it's just what needs to happen. So I'm gonna keep it in the same size pot as before, but I'm going to give it some fresh soil. So I have this, which is my base mix at the minute. I'm just reusing a Soil Ninja bag. And I don't have any of their Claythia and Maranta soil, so I'm going to be kind of DIYing it. So this just has coco coir, perlite, and worm castings in it, so it's like a very healthy soil on its own. And I'm going to be adding some vermiculite for like water retention. So a good chunk of vermiculite going in there. And then some zeolite. Oh, both of these are from Soil Ninja. I've just put them into jars because jars look pretty on my shelves. But some zeolite for drainage. And zeolite also has a really good CEC score, which I couldn't tell you what that means outside of an abbreviation. But I think it holds on to nutrients really well and like just makes the soil a better soil. Oh yeah, oh my goodness. So I love putting vermiculite into soil because they look like tiny little flakes of gold. So it just makes it really pretty. Let me show you if I can. Like, look at that. Like, that looks like a healthy soil to me rather than just like this dark mass of a bit meh stuff. So yeah, I think that'll be really good. I don't know if I have enough here. Oh, I was also going to add some of this. So this is Rhizosphere Plus from Liquid Gold Leaf. It's a new product of theirs that I think they've just released on pre-order. And basically it is a soil additive to help promote like healthy like soil microbiome. And it's just this like little powder. And I'm not sure the ratio I'm supposed to be using. I couldn't find it online. I think if you order a bag now, it would have like the label on it. So I'm just going to add about a tablespoon amount to this and mix it into the soil. And hopefully this will help promote like just like good soil health, because that's what I want. I mean, Soil Ninja soils in general tend to be super healthy. So I don't think it like necessarily needs it right now, but long run, I don't think it'll hurt, so it'll work. this is gonna be a bit difficult. Do I have my scoop? My scoop. The best thing ever, soil scoop. Just makes planting so much easier. Sorry, I realize I'm not talking because I'm concentrating, but it's not quite sturdy. So, used all of the soil and it's not quite full enough, unfortunately. Like, I'm just trying to get it down in there, into the root ball, because I know there's space in there. I'm just like sticking my fingers in and then forcing the soil into the hole. I definitely need a little bit more. So I'm going to use some Monstera and philodendron, because that's what I have. And I can chuck some extra vermiculite in it. This is like a chunkier mix than I would normally use for Claythia, but if it's just at the top, I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal. Like, the roots are mostly at the bottom anyway, so this is kind of just for support and making sure that the plant stays like upright. And I think things change a lot when you water your plant after you've repotted it, because like the soil then gets into like all the little gaps and stuff that you've not been able to get into. So once I water it, I'll see if there's any holes that form and then add more soil as needed. But I think that is good for right now. I'm hoping that that keeps this plant a little bit happier, just because, I don't know, I'm just more used to working with soil like this. So, there we go. Happy as a clam. I'm actually very glad about that. I'm going to get rid of this gross soil here because I don't need it, and then carry on doing some repotting. Also realized I've only answered one question so far, which is not very many, so we'll see how this goes. It might just be a chatty repot in the end. Alright, so we're just gonna have to put up with a slightly dirty potting mat for the rest of this, because if I then wet it, the soil will just stick everywhere. So, what do I want to do next? Probably this one, I guess, why not? So this is my Begonia White Ice, which was living in my pond box, a plastic box, with a little layer of water on the bottom, and then everything's in pond. And holy cow, it has been so happy. This has honestly been the only way I've ever been able to keep begonias alive and happy. All the other times, they've just not worked. Even my like maculata one I have, just like out of the prop box, just in the wild, in the wild of my home, it just isn't very happy. So I think they must just really like the massive amounts of humidity, but this one has terribly outgrown its pot and the pond box. Oh gosh, I can't tell if these roots are healthy or not. I feel like begonia roots are just so thin that it's really difficult to tell. I know they've been like sitting in water though as well, because like obviously it's been in the pond box, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do some root pruning in here. Maybe. There we go. Honestly, these roots look really gross. so I might just, I know you're not supposed to tear them, but I've just done it now. But like, look how sludgy those are. I don't think they're rotted, but they might be, so better just be safe than sorry. I might just trim the rest of them off as well. Not the rest of the roots, just the rest of the like bits that are a bit sludgy that were sticking out. Like, that doesn't need to be there. Oh, I think somebody actually asked me a question about the white ice, which I can answer. How do you keep your Begonia White Ice happy and healthy? My one seems to be declining. The answer, sadly, is like, I'm not sure. The only place I've had this one has been in the prop box in moss, and then in my pond box in pond, or semi-hydro. I think Solar Ninja's semi-hydro, what I normally use, which I have right here. And I'm going to be using the like inner bit for this pot because it just needs a bigger thing than this because it was obviously outgrown that. So I need to make a little wicking cord for this though, and I use, instead of the like cotton string which can rot, I've started to use microfiber towels because they're synthetic. They are not going to rot, which is really, really good. I should probably do this with normal scissors, not my plant scissors, but here I am. But basically, mine looks so good. I think it's because it's just been in a box with 100% humidity for the past year. Holy cow, it's been a year. And it has just really, really, really loved that. Let me see if I can just rip this. Oh yeah, I mean, less ideal. So many fibers. This was a bad idea. Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't just rip it. Don't do what I do. Cut it like a normal person. And so I'm actually really terrified to move mine out of the pond box, but it's too big now. And I don't have there's no space in there. It's hitting the top of the box. It's just not, it won't fit anymore. So I have to do something else instead. And I think I'm probably gonna put it in the Millsbow here because I think that makes the most sense. I mean, the humidity in there right now is about 70. Typically, it's like 60 plus. After watering day, it was like 90 for a little while, which is great. We love really, really high humidity if we can get it. And because I just watered everything, there's a lot of water evaporating off of stuff. And so, of course, it was quite high. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, I think I've also found that because it was in the pond box and I was trying to keep it in there for as long as possible, I pruned the tops off. I like kind of pinched the tops off of a couple places, and that allowed it to branch out in a couple of spots, which is like great because then you have a bit more of a full plant. I really want to do that on my Immaculata begonia because I feel like it could really benefit from something like that and like branching a little bit. And I hope that that'll work. But I've just put this in here and just gonna fill around it. And this is the fine semi-hydro from Solar Ninja. I pretty much only get their fine stuff because I like it a little bit better. I should probably get a bag of their, oh my gosh, my brain, corset stuff to like go at the bottom of some pots because the fine stuff can be quite small and so not not work super well if you've got like big holes in your pots, like drainage holes, which sometimes you need, or like sometimes that's just what you have. So it's, oh, I should have used that first. I'll put this with the rest of my recycled pond. I need to like go through and boil a bunch of it at the minute, but for now I'll just put this in here and pretend everything's fine. So that worked really, really well. It seems very sturdy in this position. I feel like with begonias, you kind of need to stake them up at some point. You don't give them something to climb because they don't want to climb stuff. But in order to get them to grow tall, they need some sort of support. So if it does need something at some point, I will put like a metal stake in, or probably not a bamboo one because it's in semi-hydro, so always wet. Something that won't rot, basically, because you don't want it to rot, because that would be bad. So there we go for now. I will like water all of this stuff later and move that like old pond into a different spot. That was so easy. I love, love, love repotting with semi-hydro. It's one of the pros to it. It's just so easy and a whole lot cleaner. Like, the grubbiness of your hands doesn't happen, and it makes life really, really easy. So that's good. I think next I want to add some props together. So I have my little Hoya chroniana super silver here, which I love, and I don't think I have repotted this one ever, but I got some cuttings off of Claire from her plant, and I have had them propping in water for ages. I wonder if you can see the roots in there. Hopefully you can. But they've been in water for quite a while now. I feel like 4 months or so. And so I figured I may as well combine them together, make a fuller plant. Happy Emma. So I think probably something about that size would be good. Just kind of one step up from the 4 centimeter. I think this is an 8 centimeter. And I think that will be okay, because they don't mind being too root bound. There's a lot of cuttings in here. It's tough to know. Maybe I'll go one more up. I'll do this one instead. Just give it that like tiny bit more space. It scares me. Sometimes I just don't know what size to do stuff. Take these stickers off here, because this is not a Senecio Angel Wing, which mine is dying, unfortunately. I don't think I was able to save it, but I guess we'll see down the line. And I'm going to be using Soil Ninjas and Thurium soil, this stuff, because they really like it. That's what I would normally use. I could add extra bark if I want, but I don't really care to at this moment, so I'm not going to. But while I do so, I shall answer more questions. Oh, this is a non-planty related question, but other than green, what are your favorite colors? So, to wear, black. Which I know isn't a color for those of you who want to be pedantic, but I really like black. I like black accents in my home. Obviously green, duh. I really like purple as well. I mean, I'm wearing a purple shirt. I think it's just a really pretty color, and it makes me happy to have purple things in my home, or just like in life. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. And I mean, they're kind of stuck together, so I might just plop them in to the side of the other ones. No, I kind of want to disperse them. Does that look okay? Or does that look dumb? Oh, I feel like it kind of looks a little bit dumb, but it's what we're doing, so it's fine. But yeah, purple is a big one for me, but like more of the blue cool tone purples, or like the muted ones like this. What else? feel like that's kind of it. Like some blues, depending, like a sort of duck egg blue I really, really like. But I kind of am not that much of a color person. Green is my favorite color. Like, especially like sage green, forest green, just a lot of green. Yeah, I'm not like a big fan of like orange. Pink isn't a color for me. I know it's like in my logo and whatever, but, and like I feel like there is benefits to it, and like in specific color combinations, yes, I really like pink, but like I wouldn't call it a favorite color of mine. Definitely not red, it's too like abrasive. And yeah, and like same with yellow. I feel like some yellows are okay sometimes, especially in like combinations with other colors, but I would never just like pick something in the color yellow. No offense if your favorite color is yellow. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. I'm not judging you if that is your favorite color. There's no problem. We are all different people and we all have different lives, so makes sense. But yeah, those are my favorite colors. Good colors, huh? Another one. If you could get another pet, not a cat or dog, what would you get? I feel like I'd probably want some sort of reptile or amphibian, because I would love to like have a tank and kind of kit out the tank like a terrarium and like kind of make a living landscape, because I feel like that makes the most sense. I would also not be able to get something that big. But I have been really, really enjoying seeing Jacqueline's Jungle's new snake Willow. It's like this beautiful, I mean, skip ahead if you don't like seeing snakes, but I think snakes are really cool. And I've always kind of wanted a snake, even though I don't think it is like practical for me to have a snake. But I've been like really enjoying watching her like make an enclosure for her snake, because that is really fun. Or like maybe frogs. I think frogs are really adorable. And I feel like I could have a bunch of frogs, a bunch of little frogs in like this big kind of jungly enclosure. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah. I would love to get some more pets, but honestly, like with the cost of living at the minute, I cannot afford to do anything like that, even though I would love to. And like also we don't have the space. So yeah, it would just have to be something. It's not possible for us right now, but I would eventually love to get something like a frog or a snake. Probably not a lizard. I feel like they're not my sort of thing. Maybe a gecko, because they're quite cute. Probably not fish. I feel like a frog or a snake would be cool. But yes, here are my little super silvers all together in one. I feel like it looks so nice being so like together, and I hope that these, like this will promote these ones to grow more leaves and stop being kind of like runners, because there's actually like they've got some fertilizer in there now instead of just being in water. Also, these have like peduncles on them because they're cuttings from Claire's and her plant flowers. So maybe I'll get flowers from it eventually, which would be really cool. I've never had a Hoya bloom in my own home. It's something I so badly want, but I don't want to like buy a big plant that already has like peduncles on it. I kind of want to grow the blooms, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe that's just a weird thing for me, but it's a goal of mine to grow Hoya flowers on my own. The other Hoya that I wanted to repot, and I'm glad I'm going to, is I want to bring my two linearii together into one, because they are doing very, very well. And I might chop and prop this one as well. There. But I might just stick this cutting directly into the soil. I've never just soil propped with Hoyas before, so it might work, it might not. I've got no idea. I have no clue though if I should go up a pot size. I'll check the roots and we'll decide then. If they're not that big, then I can just carry on. If they are looking quite tight, I will give them a bigger pot. That is the smart thing to do, Emma. Good job. Okay, they're not huge roots. In fact, they're quite tiny. Like, they're not massive, so I think it makes more sense to probably keep it in something small like this. Same with these ones. This one's really dry because I haven't watered it in like 3 weeks. Sorry, plant. And I know Hoya can tolerate being a bit more root bound, so I think it makes the most sense just to combine them into one pot. And I'll keep it in this little airway tower pot. And then put this cutting in as well. And then this soil is perfectly happy soil. It's just Anthurium soil from Soil Ninja still. I don't think it makes sense to give them fresh soil because I'm pretty sure the soil's not terribly old. I could probably mix some of that Rise Out Plus in there with it, but it's too late now. I've done it. What other questions have I got? Do you still climb? Yes, I still climb. I actually climbed yesterday. I try and climb like once a week if I can. One of my friends, we climb together because she doesn't work on Mondays, and so we climb on Monday afternoons, which is really fun. And I love it, but I am like so out of practice at the minute, obviously, because it's been like a month since I've climbed, so my hands are feeling a bit raw today. My back and shoulders definitely could use a bit of a massage. But yes, I still climb. I haven't obviously done it while I was away. So that, like, I mean, it kind of looks a little weird, but I think that'll look quite good continuing to live in my IKEA cabinet, because this will still fit in here. And I can still keep that on the back there, and it's not as long anymore, so it won't get tangled with anything below it. So this half was in the cabinet already, or the Millsbow, and then this one was in the Rudsta, which I think it was getting slightly too high of light. You can like see a difference in color between the two. And so I think it was just getting slightly too high of light for what it needed. The Arcadia Jungle Dawn lights are like incredibly bright, and so I don't think it needs to be quite that high. But I'll give this a good water because it is a bit dry, and the side that was in the Rudsta will definitely need it. So that'll be good. And I mean, very happy for now. I'm really excited that I have one of these now, because I could have just like bought a big one, but I don't want to buy a big one. I want to grow it myself. So I'm hoping that it continues to grow well and be a very happy plant. It does look kind of weird, just like this, but it'll be fine. It'll grow out, I think, I hope. And then the last one that I wanted to do is my Monstera Adansonii, just because it's so bald on the top. Like, the bottoms are doing super duper well. You know what? I might just cut it and chop and prop, because I don't really feel like I'm loving this plant anyways, so it might be one that I get rid of, like if I have to do one in, one out, which I do at this point. So maybe I'll just chop and prop it, but I'll chop and prop it with like tons of nodes, so like it has a lot to go off of. So like this whole section can grow roots, and it'll be like super duper sturdy. I think that just makes a much more sense to me, at least. And then maybe this will regrow from the top if I chop it. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna do it. If anyone wants some Monstera Adansonii, I'll probably bring it to the swap. I mean, it's a shame though, because like, look how big this leaf is, which I quite like. For being a hanging plant, that's quite large. I don't know, like, what do I do with that? I'm sure it has a really good root system. It's like, I mean, the reason I was going to repot it is because I've just not, it's not got soil in half of it, and I don't think I've ever repotted this one. But maybe, I mean, it's got really good roots. So maybe. Oh, this is also just like a long random vine. Maybe I will get rid of this soil, chop it back a little bit more, like to the base, pretty much. I've got some wet sticks that I can give away to people. Anyone want one? Let me know. I can ship it to you for next to nothing because it'll fit in an envelope or like a large letter size package. Yeah, this soil, again, it's like not got anything in it that would provide any sort of goodness to the soil. I feel like it's just quartz. I mean, it's also very, very, very wet again, because I did just water it in preparation for this. I feel like I've really been enjoying chopping things back to like nothing lately and like giving things a fresh start, because like why not? I was gonna get rid of this plant though, so maybe this isn't the best idea because then I don't actually end up getting rid of it. But with two of these, so the linearis, I've put two plants together into one, so I'm counting that as a -1. One in, one out. One has gone out, one's just gotten bigger. And same with the props, but I don't think I'm going to count putting props into a plant as one in, one out. So, it's fine. I'm counting the other one, because why the frick not? And then I'm going to use Monstera and Philodendron soil and all this stuff that's just down here from the Hoyas, because like I said, that's still pretty fresh. Where did I put the Monstera and Philodendron? This. It's kind of weird that this just like stands up on its own. I say as it falls over. I need to get more soil, especially before springtime. Goodness. And then I was gonna add a little bit of Rhizote to this, because why not? It's got like perfectly healthy roots. I could also be answering questions while I do this. Smart me. So this friend said, hi, I'm new with SP moss, which I'm assuming is sphagnum, and my first props died from rot and mold in there. Any ideas? Oh no, that's not good at all. We don't like rot and mold. But the thing with sphagnum is you don't need to keep it like soaking. I feel like it sounds like because there's rot and mold that it was probably staying too wet. If you're like, if that tends to be your problem, you might want to put your like props in a normal like nursery pot so it can get drainage. I know a lot of people do like no drainage with sphagnum because they tend to underwater, which is what I tend to do. So I can go no drainage because that holds the like moisture in, which is what I want, but it sounds like you need to get moisture out of yours. And so maybe potting in something like a nursery pot that has holes in the bottom would be good, and not letting it sit in water. You don't want your sphagnum sitting in water because sphagnum will rot and it will get like really gross, which we don't want to encourage. That's kind of my initial thoughts about it. I don't think that you should give up on sphagnum moss because I think it is a really great propping medium. I think somebody else asked what your favorite propping, or my favorite propping medium is. And sphagnum moss is definitely one of my favorite propping mediums. Like, I think it works really, really well to get plants to root and give it the moisture before going into something like soil, because the roots that are created in sphagnum are going to be like more closer to soil roots than like when you're using water, they grow water roots. That being said, when I'm propping something for like to go into pond later, I tend to use water or perlite, because the roots that grow in those are going to be closer to the roots that will grow in the semi-hydro situation. And so it kind of helps me differentiate and kind of know what my plan is going forward, because sometimes I just forget what I'm doing halfway through a prop, and like I thought I was going to put it into pond, but I ended up putting it in soil. But if I have it in water, I'm less likely to put it into soil, even though I say that I just did it with my Hoyas here. Hopefully they're fine. We'll see. Yeah, I feel like those are both really good. So if your moss is going moldy, I think it must just be a sort of too much moisture issue. That's what I would think off the bat. But like, it obviously depends on the situation. I mean, if you want to send me pictures, you can do that on Instagram, DM me, and I'll try and help the best I can. But I'm curious what all of your favorite propping mediums are. Let me know down below in the comments. Like, do you agree that sphagnum moss is one of the best ones? Are you more of a water propper? I mean, I still really love water propping because it like allows you to see the roots, which I love as like a sort of like planty geek kind of thing to watch. I really like it. I know it's not the best for them, but c'est la vie. They're my plants and I'm gonna grow them how I want to. But yeah, like, what do you like? Are you like, what camp are you in? Are you sphagnum moss, perlite, water? Let me know. But yeah, I think, do I have a jar close by that I could put these in? Let me see. Let me get one. 1 second. Oh, also this really annoying, just giant runner of Adansonii. So I've not got a jar, but I do have a cup. And cups work wonders. And because we were talking about sphagnum moss, I'm going to put sphagnum moss. Oh gosh, I've got wet soil on the carpet. Sorry, Joe. I will tidy up, I promise. But I am just going to put sphagnum moss into the cup and then put these guys in around it. This was not what I was expecting to do with this monstera at all. I don't know exactly what I expected. I think I was just going to repot it, but I've gone in a completely different direction here. But sometimes you just have to do what's right for the plant at the time, and I think that this is what is right for this plant right now. I don't think I've ever, like, this is a plant that I've had for quite a while and I've never actually repotted it. So I think giving it a bit of a fresh start will be good. And hopefully I get roots all along that like sort of nodey runner bit. That would be really cool if I could. Oh, another reason why your like sphagnum could be getting moldy is if you're packing it too tightly in there. So you don't want to be packing it like super duper duper dense, because your roots need air to grow. You can't just like suffocate them, especially if you're growing, like, less so I think in like if you're doing it in water, but like they need to have availability to get air. This is really ugly. I really don't like this, but plant swap's coming up. I will give it away to somebody then, because I feel like I don't need this one at the minute. I've got like a different monstera type here just rooting in water, which I feel like I like better. So I mean, I should probably pop that up at some point too. Look at those roots, if you can see them. So I don't know. Also, Adansonia is like another one that I could get quite easily if I did decide to change my mind. So I feel like I'm not feeling super precious about this one, which is important. And I'm trying to not be as precious with my plants. That's part of my 2023 goals. So yeah, make sure you give them air around the sphagnum. Don't like really pack it in super duper tightly, because then they won't get the air and it'll just like create a breeding ground for like bacteria and stuff and get mold. So yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna end this video. I feel like I've made an absolute mess. It looked so pristine in the beginning, and now it's like soil everywhere, little bits of cuttings, pots flipped over, like chaos. But this is always what happens when I repot, so just gonna have to be what it is. So yeah, that is it. Thank you for repotting with me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I always enjoy repotting with you. It makes things just like a little bit more fun because I have someone to chat to while I'm doing this. So yeah, thank you for being here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! You're too far away, but